Good afternoon. Welcome to the Inside Job Podcast with Nate. Today is a very special guest, dear to my heart. I'll let her introduce herself. But let's go.
Hilarious.
No, honestly, this is Jasmine. Jasmine, like I said, is near and dear to my heart. We don't have to go all into a lot of detail. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. So how's Jasmine today?
Jasmine is doing good today. Yeah, I'm feeling really good. It's definitely been it's been a busy but very productive morning. So I'm happy to be here this afternoon. And yeah, the weather is nice. And, I can't complain about that. So.
Yeah. And can't. The only thing we can complain about is that it's kind of hot. So you do have to have your AC cracking. Mm-hmm. And if you have to walk far, you're going to be sweaty. So that we can, kind of fuss about. Yeah. Today, Jasmine is joining us as we're going to be walking through the murky waters of sobriety. Yeah. What that journey looks like. You, as far as you want to go, or how comfortable you are about it. Yeah. We can talk about it, but if you want to start, maybe at what took you there. Mm. What do you believe pushed you into, a space? And then I'll let you share what your journey is about. I do believe that it's your job to tell your story. It's nobody else's job to tell your story. So I'm not going to mention it. There's a journey.
There's a journey. That is correct.
There's probably a couple of them, actually.
Yeah.
And so why don't you just enlighten us on a starting point for you?
Yeah, so I recently just got sober this year in 2026. January 3rd, 2026 is my sober date. So today, now 94 days sober.
Yes, yes. Congratulations. Let's not just scoop by that. Yeah. Congratulations.
It is. It's crazy to actually think that I could accomplish 90 days or more of sobriety, knowing where I've come from. Mm-hmm.
Did you, in between the then and 90 days now, did you have any setbacks?
No setbacks, no relapses.
Nice.
Nothing like that. Definitely have struggled. Definitely have had my triggers and moments of weakness. I think that is pretty common, though, with people in early sobriety. I think it's really, really rare and uncommon if somebody doesn't kind of have those triggers or... kind of things that can get them into a prelapse before they get to the point where they even actually relapse. But no, I have maintained my sobriety, and it's been very challenging, but so worth it. It is so worth it, and I can't express that enough. Yeah, being sober 100% saved my life.
All right.
Yeah, so it's a blessing.
Now, at what point did you self go in? Did you go in yourself, or did someone take you in?
Yeah, so the first time I tried to get sober, really attempted, was last year in 2025 in December. And you were actually the one who took me into detox the very first time I attempted to get sober. I stayed in the detox facility for about 5 days, I believe I was there. I came out of it kind of a little wishy-washy, for sure. I thought I had it, under my belt. But, there were a lot of emotions going on, a lot of feelings in my head. And I was in a very, very dark space, and it was really hard to get out of that. So I ended up relapsing pretty soon after I got out of detox the first time. Detox is not recovery. It is not rehab. It is not treatment. It is just a way to start sobriety, but it is in no way treatment, especially if you are an alcoholic or an addict. I do recommend that you seek further treatment if you feel like you've gotten, that deep into your addiction.
Okay.
It is really important. And then in January was when I decided to go, and I took myself to detox the second time I took myself in, because it wasn't other people pushing me.
Okay.
It was me wanting it for myself.
That part.
Versus, other people wanting it for me, because I wasn't ready the first time I tried.
Okay.
I really wasn't. And it took me a while to recognize that and come to terms with that. But I did it the right way. I think I did it the way that was best, for me. I stayed in the detox facility this time for 8 days, and then I immediately went from detox to rehab. There was no in between. There was no going home, nothing like that. Straight into a 30-day program. And then, I graduated in February, and I moved into sober living.
Yay. Well, congratulations on that graduation. As with anything, people who have addictions, it could be food addictions, it could be sex addictions, it could be, a lot of things that people become addicted to. And it's hard to come out of those things. And depending on how long it has been, are you comfortable with sharing how long you were inside before saying, hey, you know what, I'm done?
Yeah. I would definitely say now that I have been so educated and informed on, what addiction really looks like, I would say I was even an addict back in college.
Oh, okay.
I would say that's definitely where my addiction started. Was it as prevalent? No. It was something that was definitely more contained. I was very high functioning.
Okay.
Didn't really affect my work at all or anything like that. Wasn't affecting any relationships, friendships, at that point. But definitely would say it started in college when I turned 21. And then later down the road after that, it definitely ramped up a lot when COVID-19 hit.
Oh.
COVID hit, and that...
Was it the stay at home?
It was the staying home.
Couldn't get out in the streets and kind of be around.
It was the staying home. It was... there really wasn't much else to do, There really wasn't much else to do. Stayed home, still tried to exercise as much as, we could. At the time I was living with my ex-boyfriend, and we were also working in the same job, so it was just constantly, working together, then going home and drinking and watching Netflix and just kind of just repeating that cycle over and over and over again. Working, in a correctional environment, I will say during the pandemic was very triggering and a very difficult job and career to be in. And it was just an outlet. It was an outlet, and that, and then when they finally opened the ski resorts, and COVID also, ski culture is, super heavy on drinking. And so that is a huge part of it as well.
Yeah. When I went skiing once, and I damn near broke my neck, and so I've never been back, but I can't imagine. I mean, really, when you see the like cartoons and the commercials and the skis is flipping and you got one sticking this way and your leg is back this way, that was me. I was a whole man. I looked a whole mess. You could tell I didn't know what I was doing, and
you didn't take a lesson.
I didn't, because I'm very adventurous.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, and so I'm like. You know what? There's some stilts. I can do it. I'm just, hey, I got this. But what happened was my skis crossed.
Yeah.
And I rolled.
Yeah.
I rolled the rest of the way.
Yeah, that happens.
And I really did think I was about to die. I was like, this is it. But I can't imagine drinking and doing that. I probably would have died then if I would have had some fluid in me.
It gets rid of the fear, and yeah, it's crazy.
Really?
Yeah. Takes the edge off.
No, listen, I was scared to drink for fear of, of doing what happened, which was falling, and then me not, and it was almost like the, it's one of them kind of falls. It was awful.
Did your skis come off?
One of them did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, one of them did. I swear I broke my hip. I mean, I was. Yeah, it's kind of funny now, but I remember having to go to the Safeway store up there, and I just I had to go in the wheelchair because I was jacked up. Hip was messed up, ankle was twisted. I said, this ain't for me.
I'm crying.
This is not for me, and I never went back. And don't ever want to go back.
It's not that bad. It really isn't that bad.
Yeah, tell my hips and my knees and my legs that. But, side note. So, 21. Take me back there. Do you think that you started because you turned 21? So that's the kind of like, oh, I can't wait till I'm 21 and I can drink and do some things.
I mean, that's just a part of college, I think, you turn 21, you go out to the bars, with your friends. I didn't go to, the biggest party school or anything like that, but it was still definitely, a part of the culture. I mean, even freshman, sophomore year, all those years in college, still partying and drinking. I would say it wasn't as often that I was. I was definitely more introverted my freshman, sophomore years of college. But when I turned 21 in my junior year, I was definitely out a little bit more, for sure. But yeah, it's just a part of the college experience. I think that's pretty common. I think for any person or most people who go to college, you want to get out and party and be around your friends and have a good time. So
yeah. And then just because I am privy to know some things, it kind of runs in your family.
It does.
And so when you're already, pre-exposed to it, it probably makes it
not help.
It doesn't help. Yeah, it makes it a little harder.
It does not help. It tends to go, it can be so different for many people when you grow up with alcoholics in your family. Some people tend to stay completely away from alcohol if they see a loved one struggling, or they also can follow in, their footsteps and still have the same struggles. I think it really just depends on the person. I think that addiction and alcoholism, it can happen to honestly anyone if you allow it to take hold of you. If you really, it doesn't discriminate. Addiction and alcoholism it doesn't really discriminate. Yes, I am definitely more privy to it because it runs in my family, and I still saw the consequences of others drinking. It didn't deter you. It didn't deter me.
No.
Some points it did. When my grandma passed away from her liver failure, and she was going in to get her transplant, and she ended up passing away when I was in college. Definitely, I would say it honestly probably picked up a little bit more after that, versus it deterring me.
Was it like coping?
That was my junior year of college too. When she passed away. So yeah.
So it's like coping, because you think about it, and and like you said, I appreciate you saying that it's different for different folks.
It just depends.
Yeah, and it just depends. Because for me, it would be more of a deterrence to be like, yeah, excuse me, yeah, I kind of see what happened to my grandma, and I kind of seen. The fights. Alcoholism runs in my family as well.
Both sides it does.
And on my dad's side more so, and they would be banging with each other, fighting each other, be messing up the Christmas parties, Thanksgiving be ruined, they out in the street boxing, they're enemies. And so for me, I was like, yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Not to say that I didn't drink. I've had my share, of drinking as well. And in my space, when I was, going through, some depression and things of that nature, I remember, I'd go to work, and I don't work there no more, so y'all can't fire me. But I would go to work with shooters. And on my lunch break, I go, hey, pop that thing back. I had a little bag that I kept underneath the seat, and I remember one time I pulled that bag out because I just used it as a trash can, and I remember I pulled that thing out and I thought, oh, you drinking a whole lot. Like there's something going on here, but I was trying to mask some things, you know, some traumas and things like that to just be numb because it's like I didn't want to feel some of the things that you know.
Yeah, I would definitely say more towards, you know, the last few years. That is what I used it as a tool for. I used it to numb a lot of hurt feelings and emotions and trauma. I used it to stuff all that down because I didn't want to deal with the feelings. And I mostly just didn't want to face myself.
Oh, that part.
Yeah, I didn't want to face myself in the things I was doing to other people. You know, and the guilt and shame I had towards myself. And so I just numbed it all, you know. Yeah, I used it as an excuse. But it's a
you know, I
crutch.
can say, you know, I was fully aware when you reached a point of recognizing that there was some things going on when you called me and was like, you know, can I talk to you? And to this day, you know, and I share with you over and over again how appreciative I am and how much I respect you for being able to come forth and be like, yeah, I was talking about you. I said some things about you. I was joining the club. I was selling with the boat, you know. I'm sorry. I love you and I want this relationship. When you went there with me, it shifted because, you know, as you know, we're both aware there was a separation in our relationship, unfortunately, and for you to come back the way that you did, it was going to have to be that way. If I'm being honest, it was going to have to be that way just because of the circumstances. And so I just want to say that again and say it out loud because there are people, you know, because of some of the circumstances, they're like, do you trust that? Like, isn't there still something you ought to be worried about? And I'm like, absolutely not. This is grown woman right here who can come and say and acknowledge, you know, especially because it was me, you know, and the old me would have been like, okay, dukes up. You want to talk stuff? You want to take to the street then, Jasmine? Let's do this. So for me, watching you come to that place, even though there were still some struggles afterwards, you ought to definitely pat yourself on the back and just understanding, like recognizing who you hurt in some of those spaces.
Oh, I hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. I bet. And so, like, have you forgiven yourself?
I have forgiven myself. It is when so one thing that had happened a lot because of the amount I was drinking is, and with the numbing and the blackouts and things like that, that I was forgetting. I was forgetting a lot of the hurt that I did cause. So sometimes those things will come back to me and I'll remember.
Okay.
So, and it sucks to relive.
Of course.
To relive those moments because obviously I tried to stuff it.
Yeah.
I tried to stuff it all the way down, but I do forgive myself because I realize that if I don't forgive myself, then I will never be able to move forward with my life and I will be stuck. And
pin that.
I can't make my amends properly. It's more than just an apology. I can't.
That part, Jasmine.
I can't make my amends properly if I don't forgive myself for the things that I've done. Because how do I expect other people to forgive me if I'm continually, beating up myself and if my actions are showing, otherwise? I'm not going to live in a victim mentality,
That part.
A lot of it was me and on myself, and I take full accountability.
That part.
So, I'm in a place, now in sobriety, which I would have not done when I was drinking, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because it would have been other people's issues, other people's fault. Definitely a lot of self-hate. And yeah, I have been able to come to a point where I am no longer blaming anybody else but myself
Ooh.
for anything that has occurred, especially these past few years when it got bad.
You know, that's good. Accountability is massive. Yeah, it's it's top tier, because yeah, there may have been some circumstances and situations that you know would have had as a youngster and you know growing up. But at the end of the day, nobody forced you to do it. No. Nobody forced you to, you know, crack the top. And I'm not making light of it, but I think that when we, it just is what it is, and when you can find a space within yourself and in situations where you don't have to be so uptight about it. You can just be like, yeah, you know, just like the story I was telling about me rolling down that hill. It could be something as simple as that.
Yeah.
Just acknowledging it and then just being comfortable and okay. Because one thing about sharing your story is that you definitely have to be solid and confident within yourself and then within your truth. Because people are going to talk, right? People are going to talk, whether good, bad, or indifferent. People just going to have stuff to say. And so it's going to come back. It's possible that somebody's going to have something to say about you sharing your story here. But it's yours, right? You own it.
There is nothing I can do about what other people say or, you know, think. And that is also something that I really have held on to in recovery is, you know, in the Serenity Prayer, they talk about, you know, accepting the things you cannot change.
Yes.
And changing the things that you can.
Yes.
You have to know the difference.
Come
wisdom
on.
to know the difference. And
Come on.
you can't change, you know, anybody else. You can't change
That part.
The things that are out of your control. The only thing I can change is myself. And I recognize that, so I stopped trying to control and change other people, other situations, things that have nothing to do with me, things that are out of my control.
That is so good. I'm so glad you said that because that's key too, you know, not allowing other people's opinions of you, you know, because people are going to belittle you, cut you down. They may even think you're crazy, right? And so you have to be good within yourself to hear that consistently if that's happening, or even if someone just said it once or twice, you have to be good within yourself so that those things don't tear you down. And so I'm glad that you have reached a point in this journey where it's almost like, you say whatever you want to say. I really don't care, you know. And then setting healthy boundaries, right? So somebody who is speaking of you in that manner, degrading you, belittling you, and things like that, there comes a time where I think that you do have to set some healthy boundaries and be like, from a distance, baby, I'm gonna love you, even if it's, you know, a best friend or, you know, somebody in the family or anything like that. Just because the word best friend or family doesn't mean that we have to tolerate disrespect or that you have to tolerate somebody, you know, cutting you down, especially while you're in this journey.
Yeah, no, I have definitely had my share of people who have not necessarily cut me down, but who are not making it easier on me in recovery. With a certain like negative like mindset or like maybe that person is also going through something themselves. And I recognize that in recovery, and people who are in recovery, they are very vulnerable. And a lot of people in recovery feel a lot of guilt. And so constantly speaking negatively into somebody who is in recovery, who's actively trying to fix themselves, it doesn't make anything better. It, you know, makes it worse for them, and you have to recognize that it's going to take time, you know.
That part.
It took me a while to burn things down. I mean, at first it took a while, and then immediately last year, like, it was quick. It was quick. I burned things down. Up in flames real quick. And so it's going to take a while to rebuild. It's going to take a minute to rebuild, and, you know, I am honestly not really dealing with people who are going to bring any negativity into my life. I am very lucky that I have a sober, community and sober friends and
Yeah.
family and other friends, that have continued to be super supportive throughout this whole, process and me just figuring out what life looks like in recovery. But I've distanced myself from others who are just going to bring negative energy into my life, and that's comes with some family, and that comes with some friends, and and that's okay.
It is, and it is. It is, and you still, it's still family. We don't get to pick our family, so it's always going to be family. But making the decision to, again, having to just love you from a distance for now while I'm recovering, it's okay. It's definitely okay. And there are people who will try to make it seem like it's not. Oh, that's family. You ought to do this, and oh, that's your best friend, and you should that. No, ma'am. You got to let that be what it is, and stay on track. Don't let nobody push you off of your path, your trajectory, just simply because in the name of best friend, boyfriend, cousin, family. We can't allow that to happen. This is critical. It's a critical time for you.
It is very critical.
And so I think that's really good that you recognize that. And so now with the sobriety and in the journey that you're on, therapy part of that?
Oh, yeah. There's a ton of therapy. I think I definitely I'm taking my treatment very serious and my sobriety very serious. So, after rehab, moved into sober living. I still live in sober living. Along with sober living, I attend AA pretty regularly throughout the week. I have a sponsor. I'm working the steps. I go to a program called IOP, which is the intensive outpatient for alcohol and addiction.
Okay.
So I do that 3 days a week. This day I'm actually going 4 days a week. So I do that 3 days a week in the mornings, and then that comes with another hour of therapy. And I see my regular therapist every 2 weeks. So there is a ton of treatment and therapy involved. I have a huge community around me.
Yeah, so you're doing the work.
I am doing a lot of work.
Yeah, and it's not easy.
It is not
right?
easy.
I just happen to know, there are times where, you get tired.
Oh, yeah, treatment and, recovery fatigue is what they call it. It's so real. It is so real. I don't know. I remember the last week I was in rehab, I was so ready to leave that place. I was like, all right, I got it, guys. I get it now. It's time for me to move on. But I was like, no, you have to finish the last week. You can't leave yet. You're not ready, even though you're over it.
Yeah.
And it's also recognizing in treatment and in like spaces in the sober community who's actually there for the right reasons, and surrounding yourself with those people who are there for their treatment and their recovery, and to actually be a positive support and member of the community, because there are those who are, still in AA meetings or in, different recovery groups and things like that, who are not there for the right reasons and can tend to bring the group down.
Of course.
Yeah, so you just have to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people who have the best intentions for themselves, and you can tell when somebody is taking their recovery serious versus when they're not. Like, it is very obvious.
Okay.
It is a night and day difference, especially if you're working the steps, because, it requires you to make a change in who you are as a whole.
Oh, that part,
your
character.
You will essentially become a new person if you are doing the steps the right way.
Yes.
And you can see the difference in people who have taken the steps serious and really mean it. When they go through their fourth step, and then they, do their fifth step, and then they make their amends to people, in the ninth step. Like, those steps are super vital, when they actually accept, God into their life and let God take control.
Ooh,
you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah. Now, obviously I know as a little one, you was in church. You that'll be all the time.
Not the dance team.
Yeah.
And
which, by the way, we were looking for that video.
Which one?
The
one I did by myself?
Yes.
I remember that one.
Yeah, that to hear you pull that in as a part of your recovery, because, I know that there was a time and there's a gap there when you're trying to figure out, do I want to go to church? You hear so many different things, and it can turn you off. So to hear, that you have reincorporated that into, your life alone, but as part of your healing journey is outstanding.
Yeah,
It is.
It's more than just church, though. It's really the God piece. It's just God.
Okay.
Growing up in church and religion, it can definitely be a little bit traumatic, depending upon the experience you have within the community. There are just so many things that go on in church institutions I wouldn't necessarily say like align with my personal beliefs, but I do believe in God. And I do believe, I've always, believed in God, and I do believe that it is because God I am sober. And when I was trying to do things my way without having God in my life, that was when things were falling apart.
Ooh.
And as soon as I recognized that and gave him back control,
wow, things
started getting a little bit easier. Yeah. Day by day, things got easier. It is so funny how that works.
Yeah. That poked my heart. No, I'm serious. That touches me because recognizing that you can't do this by yourself, or you cannot do this without some guidance in that space. So talk to me a little bit about how that came back around for you.
It really is just, it is ingrained into AA is what I will say.
Okay.
It is. Not the institution or the religion piece, an aspect of God. It's really important, though, in the first step, you admit you have a problem. Second step is believing that God will, restore your sanity. And then, the third is, essentially letting God and submitting, to God and letting God take control. So I already got past those steps, but essentially those are the first 3 steps. Admitting you have a problem, recognizing God, will restore you to sanity, and then, essentially letting God take control. And it can be God, but it also can be a higher power of your believing and choosing. Everybody has their own beliefs, and higher power can mean so many things to other people. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to believe in the God of Christianity or any other religion. But as long as you believe that a higher power, something bigger, than yourself, is taking control and helping you walk through, life and helping you stay sober. Yeah. It makes it 1,000 times easier. It lifts so much off of you. And when you're not having to do and trying to do everything your way, and you're doing it the way that God would intend and have you to do it, it makes a difference.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because I imagine there probably are people out there who may be atheists who...
Yeah, it addresses it in the big book, actually. Okay. There are a lot of people who are in AA and NA and CA and all the other, meetings and organizations that are atheist and don't necessarily believe in God. And they have to find their higher power. Some people believe their higher power is the people in those rooms, that the power that brought them to the room, where they can talk and, be open and not be judged. That is their higher power, and they believe that that is what is keeping them sober. There are so many other beliefs that, nature, in nature is huge for a lot of people, that is keeping them sober. There are just so many different definitions, and just the belief in community. There are so many different ways that people kind of interpret it. So it's very, AA is not necessarily a religious, it's not a religious institution, which is something I think that kind of gets a little bit misconstrued. And definitely deters people, because God does come up a lot, but it's a God of your understanding. So it can be any God.
Yeah. And for folks who, have not been there or don't have to be there, as myself, I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have known that was a big push, a big force into helping you guys elevate.
Yes.
But I do agree with it, and I also agree with that it doesn't matter the route you take as long as that you do believe in something higher than yourself that can help guide you. There's a blueprint in this thing, and however you believe it. Belief is powerful. If you believe something, I was just having this conversation the other day about believing I was supposed to have jury duty. So I thought I had the jury duty paper. And on the paper, it said the 13th. But I swore up and down it was just this Monday. So I was calling the night before, and I was like, they need to change their system because they're behind, they're late. I believed that the 13th was Monday, just the other day, so much to the point where I was like, I set my alarm clock so I can wake up in the middle of the night to call again to see if my number was going to be pulled. I believed so wholeheartedly that it was the 13th Monday, which was the 6th, and it was not the 13th. Yeah. And it wasn't until I laid there in bed just kind of toiling over it, and I was just like, something just said, look at the calendar.
Yeah,
and I looked at my phone and I was like,
you're skipping weeks.
Oh, I was like, oh, today's
the whole week is crazy.
I said, oh, today's the 5th, so they are on top of it. But I believed it. I believed that it was the 13th. Oh. Like, cold-blooded believed it. Oh. And when nobody could tell me different. Not even the paper. I was looking at it. It said the 13th. I'm like, who does that? That's the power of our belief.
No. Oh. I
That's crazy, right?
Agree.
And I felt some type of way after I realized that it was actually it was correct and I was totally wrong. Like, where'd you get that from? Why did you believe so hard that you were right, that it was the 13th and the computer, the court system was wrong? Like, I went that far, like, oh, they're mistaken.
They just said no. We're just gonna a week, right?
A whole week. I'd have blew everything. We wouldn't be here today. I'd have missed my doctor appointment tomorrow. Because my doctor appointment's on the 8th. But that would have been
that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense. But that
I've done that before. I've skipped a calendar and I've been like, wow, that's on the schedule. No, that's not until next week. That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, it's just the power of belief.
I was thinking that. I actually thought I had a funeral to go to this Friday, and it's not until 2 weeks from now almost.
Oh, you pushing them in the grave?
Well, he's been gone for a few
Oh, I mean, I'm not joking about it. I'm not joking.
I think he needs to rest.
I'm not joking. No disrespect to the dead. I really don't.
It's a long time, actually. I think it's because it's too long, too far out.
Okay. That makes sense, because I was about to say, otherwise, that's some wild thinking to be like, I'm going to push you in this sooner
like
because...
Yeah. For a funeral is a long time, in my opinion, but
Yeah, it is, and I know
everybody's got their own thing.
That's right. And, you never know what the reasons is. Some people might be coming from out of town and, whatnot. Yeah. But I've heard of people being out, after they pass for, a month or so. Mm-hmm. And it just is what it is. It's just kind of like, okay, you forget about it. So I can see you was probably like, we're going to go Friday.
Yeah, my friend had to correct me on that one. I was like, the funeral. He was like, that's not until, like, the 19th, I think, or the 17th. And I was like, never mind.
Yeah.
We'll see you that day.
Yeah. Wow, okay. So the financial piece, talk a little bit about that for people who may be, let's take a step back. The resources that you got to know that you could go to the detox center or the sober living place. Where did you get that information from?
I am a very self-motivated person, okay? Because here is the thing. I did not have a lot of help in finding those resources. Okay. Before you took me to detox the first time, I had gone down to Denver Health to their mental health kind of treatment, program, got a case manager.
Okay.
And he told me not to detox there. So no shade to Denver Health, but they told me not to detox there. So he helped me find the detox that I ended up going to because they took my insurance.
Okay, great.
And then, I ended up detoxing there both times. So that was no cost to me because I'm on Medicaid.
Okay.
So I'm very lucky for that. And then rehab. They did not help me in detox to find a rehab. I did my own research, made my own calls. Was very lucky in detox that they allowed us to have our cell phones.
Okay.
So I called around. I figured it out, and I pushed the place that I ended up going, Parker Valley Hope, into taking me in sooner, and they did. They took me in the Sunday I got released from detox.
Okay.
So, I went straight from detox, was out a few hours, and went straight to rehab, and that was also no cost to me because Medicaid covered that as well.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky for that, and Parker Valley Hope has such a good program and is very supportive of people who end up graduating. So they ended up covering my first few months of sober living. So I got scholarship through them.
Okay, good.
So I was able to kind of tap into a few resources.
Right.
There are a ton of resources out there for people who are trying to get sober as far as scholarships, especially through the state of Colorado, and different programming and funding from the state. So there's nothing that really would put a person in a financial position where they couldn't seek help. They just have to be resourceful in finding help if they really want to.
Okay. Now, did you find it easy for yourself, because I imagine somebody who's probably a little further gone, may not have the fortitude, the thought process to be like, I don't even know where to start. And I imagine that's probably common.
Yes, I was in there advocating in detox for people. I'm not gonna lie. I do not.
Doesn't surprise
no shade
me.
to my detox. But I had them print out resources for rehabs because what they only were pushing were their IOP and PHP program for that specific program and facility. But some people need rehab. Some people need more intense treatment, and I knew I needed more intense treatment. So I had them print out the resources because those should be available to people who need to figure out next steps because detox is not treatment, and you're going to essentially just get released and put back out to, the community or wherever you were before. So, you really have to advocate for yourself with the case managers. You really do. With any little resource, you have to make people listen. You have to make people listen to you. And it does suck for people who do not have the fortitude, but there are resources available. It really just depends on the program because I have heard different levels of care and attention for different detox facilities, for different rehabs. Everybody talk about this in IOP a good amount for people who have gone to different rehab facilities where some people are completely locked down, don't have access to their phone. Where I went to a detox in a rehab where I was not, completely locked down. Well, the detox I was, but I was able to have my phone in detox. I was able to have my phone throughout rehab. I wasn't really as confined. Some people just have different. It's just varying experiences dependent upon where you go. It really, really is. But I am a huge advocate for myself. And then when I was leaving rehab and I decided to do sober living, I ended up finding the sober living house because the case manager that was there, we were trying to get in a different one and it didn't work out. And then I made some calls, for a few days, and I found the one that I am in now. So they were able to scholarship me. So I'm
so
just,
it's the determination. Yourself to just I have to shift.
Yeah.
I have to make a change.
I had to make a change.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I like your drive and your motivation. I know that there was a struggle for you. I'm missing my friends. I'm missing my family. I really don't feel like I have this freedom. I feel like I'm, incarcerated, just kind of stuck or whatever. It's part of the process, right?
It is part of the process. And when I tell you the week I was in detox, it flew by. And then that month I was in rehab when I thought it was going to last forever. I blinked and it was over and I was graduating and, I was in sober living. And I have been in sober living for, 2 months now, a little over 2 months.
Okay.
So it goes by quick, if I feel like as much energy as you put into your addiction and wanting to attain those things, alcohol and drugs, you need to put that same amount of energy into staying sober. Otherwise,
that
you will
part.
not stay sober.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you can go out and, be resourceful to find your drugs and alcohol and things like that, then you can put that energy also into maintaining your sobriety. Use the same energy.
Yeah. 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 Sitting up here listening to you talk, and then you can stop me if you don't want me to go further with this, but we were talking, just the other day where you were talking about, being able to use your own sobriety to help others in the form of, maybe writing a book.
Yeah. So I already have a few people who are interested. I think what has helped me most in sobriety is going to AA. I really appreciate the treatment and everything else, but
you appreciate the treatment.
I do.
Wow.
Because I needed it, and then I know I would not be here without it.
Yeah.
I know. I was in a mindset where I didn't think I was going to make it this far. So I do. I very much value the people who spent time and worked with me and helped me through the struggles, because I was going through it. But yeah, no, I would say that AA has definitely made the most difference in my life. Working with a sponsor who has stuck by me for over a year. She was so scared for me at the end of the year, was ready to give up on me and did not. And I am forever grateful for her in her determination and, just kind of being there, because it is hard. And she did not want to give up on me, but there was really nothing at the end she could have done to help me. I had to want to help myself. So yeah, I want to kind of talk more so about AA and sober living. And so I have a lot of people who are going through that, in my life right now. Yeah. Everybody has a different experience. All I can speak to is what has helped me and, kind of bring the stories from others who have been, helped and impacted and maintained sobriety. So yeah, I want to write my story and then their stories.
Yeah,
because
that's awesome.
The stories from the big book are so relevant still.
Yeah.
Just a little outdated, but they are so relevant and so relatable still. That book was absolutely, it's so silly to say and very cliche, but that book was literally written about me.
Yeah.
It is.
Claim it. I mean, hey, if it fits, if the shoe fits, wear it.
It fits.
Yeah.
It's
I was listening to this podcast where Terry Crews and his wife was on it, and he made a statement that was like something on the level of our stories, are here to help other people understand that it's possible, or to know that it's possible, something on that level. And so that's what this reminds me of. Just as, obviously with me, I wrote my book. My book has been very helpful for people who are in that same situation of going through that type of trauma.
Yeah.
If it works for you, it works. If it doesn't, keep it pushing. And so I can see, not only because of the woman that you are, but because of your experiences, that you will be such a great help for other people that are behind you. You will be able to help them. And I look forward to, seeing that come to fruition. And as I shared with you, I'm here for you 1,000% on whatever it is that, resources that I can pull and need. You already got what you need. Yeah. You already got what's already within yourself to catapult you to, just pen to pad is at this point it's just putting it together. Yeah. So that's going to be awesome. That's going to be something that I'll definitely follow that journey here. So I will definitely be asking you to come back as you go through your different steps. I can say, you're beautiful, and you don't look like what most people would think. Somebody's like, oh, she's an alcoholic, or she's, and I know we got our days, right?
Yeah.
Some days you wake up with your bags on, hair up in the ponytail, but the hair is sticking out all over the place. But you're wearing yourself very well. The growth on you is fantastic. Yeah. It looks good on you. Yeah.
They call it the glow after you get sober.
Okay.
You start getting healthy. You start eating right. really start getting some of your mental peace back. It's really important. You sleep. Wasn't sleeping. Ooh. Sleeping is so important.
We're not even going to talk about that.
Yeah,
right.
Sleep is so important.
I'm operating on LOS today.
Hilarious.
I am. I did not sleep last night, like a wink. I got my little watch, and my watch was like, "Oh, you need."
Happens.
Yeah, I think it's menopause, and it's just menopause insomnia, and I can't stand it. So when I'm done with my day today, and the part about it is that I took something to help me go to sleep.
I did that last week too.
Yeah, like Lunesta, and nothing against it. It works sometimes, but when you already have like something chemically going on. It was laughing at me like, oh, so you think we going to sleep? Yeah. Oh, you thought, how about this? I flipped, flopped. I mean, I could tell you what my neighbors was doing. Somebody was out fixing their truck like 2, 3 o'clock this morning. I was like, bro. Yeah. Yeah, apparently not. I'm like, you need some Lunasta? We're going to do an ad, No, but I'm proud of you. I am very proud of you, and I do know that this journey is lonely. This journey is cold. This journey is hard. I don't ever want anybody to think that when you see the other side of something or someone who has overcome something and they look so good and they make it look so easy, that it did not come without a hard time, without setbacks, without tears, without feeling just
feeling those
lonely and by yourself. Yes,
I'll just randomly just start crying for no reason.
Well, hey,
there just is nothing wrong, and I'll just be like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing right now. We're just gonna cry. Why are we crying? And then living in a house with all the girls.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
That'll do it too.
A lot of emotions
too
there.
Many.
Yeah. Refinery burns and it hurts. Growth hurts. So those random tears is because you're
I was numbing it, so I know it's all pinned up from something that I decided to push down a long time ago.
And let it out.
Oh, I do.
Okay, good. It's all right to cry. It's all right to shed. Clean it up. I think that's part of the process. Yeah. So, as we get close to wrapping this up, I told you. Remember, I told you, I said, yeah, you're going to sit down, and before you know it, we ain't even got through half of what what I wanted to make sure that some people get and understand. But I think that you have definitely shared a lot that people can be grateful for. And if they have questions, they know how to reach out to me. I definitely want to welcome you back. And like I said, I'll follow your journey here on the Inside Job podcast. It's an inside job. Dun, 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 dun. Big pick, push the button.
Was there supposed to be music that I was like, what are you looking at? And
you're like,
wait till you hear the button.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, I know that was kind of creepy, right? A little weird. I was like, the inside job. You're like
ready for the speaker to start playing.
You'll understand it when you see the video, when you see the episode drop.
You're gonna have to send me the unedited one of that too.
Yeah, you know what? The thing about this podcast, this platform, is that we do the editing, but we rarely take anything. We don't take anything out. So if you blooping, you just blooped.
Hilarious.
we leave it all in there. Even my own, I remember one time, and I'll never forget this, and I know she thinks it's funny as well. She had just gotten married, and I was just learning the little buttons on the little roadcaster, and instead she was like, yeah, I just got married, and instead of putting like, oh, yay, congratulations, I pushed the button, I was like, scratch, I was like, oh, I'm so all we could do was laugh. I'm about melted, and so we've kept it in there because
I'm crying.
It's just what it is. If this is something that we have to be all uptight and sticking the behind about, people wouldn't feel so welcome.
Yeah, no.
But it's just just be who you are here on the Inside Job podcast.
I do want to leave people who are struggling with some advice.
Oh, I was going to ask her, but she jumped on me, so go on ahead.
Yeah. If you think you have a problem, go sooner rather than later to seek help. Don't let your life crash and burn, because it is most times when an alcoholic or an addict, when they spiral and they hit that rock bottom, that's when they go seek help. If you even have a little thought in the back of your mind that you're struggling, go to a meeting, go to talk to anybody. Like, you can go to talk to a therapist. Go seek help, because don't let your life crash and burn, because rebuilding is a lot, and it takes a lot more. If you could stop it sooner, I would recommend it. But also, if you're in recovery, make sure that you're focusing on your recovery, but also still live your life. Because if you're not living your life, you're going to be miserable if you're just only focused on the recovery, and you're just doing that only all the time. Take breaks and find things in your recovery, that make you happy, and go back to the things that you weren't doing, when you were in your addiction, and bring those things back, because I've been able to do that, and I found some joy, in doing things that I completely, just stopped doing because I was so deep in my addiction.
Wow.
So
I think that is some great information, nuggets to drop as we close out this episode of the Inside Job podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in to us. Jasmine will be back. We will follow the journey, and we look forward to the fruition of the book, and just being able to help so many people. So thank you. I thank yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back.
I do every single day.
Yes, that's so important, to celebrate even the small things. You may not be there yet, but you're going, and you're not where you used to be. That is worthy of celebration. When you leave here, you can go get ice cream across the street. No, but thank you. I love you, and I'm very, very proud of you. You keep going, keep striving, keep treading. We'll see you guys next time.